Is your business socially responsible? Are your employees well motivated? Do you contribute to your community? Are you mindful of your environmental footprint? Are you proud of your supply chain? Canadian studies show that consumers increasingly want more information about the companies they deal with. Trust, transparency, and ethical behavior are gaining ground among the list of consumer concerns. Consumers are going online looking for this information. 89% of consumers would be willing to change consumption habits if it could help make the world a better place to live. 87% of consumers would rather support the livelihood of local producers than a designer brand. Socially responsible behavior has an important positive impact on the financial performance of a company. Consumers are no longer limiting their purchasing decisions to a product or service. They're looking for relationships that reinforce their values and the choices they make. Your employees, the community where you do business, the environment, and your suppliers. So what's the benefit to you? You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Promote yourself and your great work. Set yourself apart from the competition.
This week's theme is about sourcing. Over the past 10 years, Conservation International and Starbucks has helped to create buying guidelines on how we ethically source coffee. We call those Coffee and Farmer Equity Practices, CAFE practices for short. These guidelines help our farmers grow coffee that's better for them and the planet. It's a measurable set of standards focused on these areas. First one is product quality. All the coffee has to meet our Starbucks coffee quality, and our quality is pretty high. Number 2 is that there also needs to be an economic accountability. This is a requirement. Transparency is a must. Suppliers need to submit the payments made through the supply chains so that we can actually see how much money we've provided to the farmer actually goes to the farmer. Another set is social responsibility. This is actually evaluated by a third-party organization. This measures the safe and fair human work conditions on our farms. It includes protecting the rights of the workers and making sure that they have safe and adequate living conditions. The last standard is actually environmental leadership. This is also evaluated by a third-party organization. This measures the waste management of the farms, the water quality, as well as the water conservation on the farms, as well as how we protect the biodiversity on the farms itself, and how we actually reduce the agrochemical use on our farms. All these aspects combine to become CAFE practices. Our goal is to have 100% of our coffees certified or verified by a third-party organization. So you're probably asking, what are we doing? Starbucks bought 367 million pounds of coffee in fiscal 2009. 81% of that, 299 million pounds worth, were from CAFE practiced approved suppliers. We paid it on average about $1.47 per pound of green, unroasted coffee in fiscal 2009.
My name is Eric Jewell, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Merchandising and Design for Levi Strauss. Well, Levi's is interesting in the fact, it's been around for about 153 years, and profits and principles, it's always been part of its roots. So 153 years ago certainly wasn't necessarily something you would market, but it has had proof points through its history around balancing really the idea of profits and principles. For example, in 1960, it decided to expand its manufacturing process in the southeast of the United States. And at the time in 1960, there was a segregation act where the factory floors of factories were still segregated between blacks and whites. And Levi's, through the power of business, we would love to expand it, to open plants in the state of Virginia at the time. But our values are so, opposed to segregation that we only will do so if you desegregate your factory floors. And through the power of business and money, really, the state of Virginia actually capitulated and enabled Levi's to open the first integrated factory floor, which eventually caused quite a change in the Southeast. So if you put that in American history context, it's about 2 years before the civil rights movement started and about 8 years before Martin Luther King got assassinated. So, because of that, and I can rattle off another 20 stories that way, I think Levi is really always walking the path between profits and principles, which is not always easy because the business, the enterprise exists for more than just making money. Which oftentimes can cause conflict of interest, if you will, around profitability and principles. So it's a very interesting, I think, company to be a part of and certainly to help orchestrate.
Let's face it, the number one reason companies exist is to turn a profit, to make money. Nonetheless, business people are now asked to be well-versed in social responsibility, which might include ethics, sustainability, and community interactions. Because of specific business-related incidents in the last 20 years, you're now force-fed these issues in marketing, finance, accounting, and management. Here's just a short list of some of the bad things companies have been known to do. Hiring children, abusing employees, having those employees work in dangerous or unhealthy conditions, depleting the earth of its natural resources, manufacturing dangerous, unhealthy, and low-quality products, polluting the world through manufacturing and logistics, and also through the products they manufacture, negotiating unfair deals with small companies or poor communities, relocating operations causing plants to shut down and communities to crumble. Now, we've already learned how supply chains are tasked with controlling costs, eliminating waste, and generating revenue by manufacturing and distributing products and services. Now we begin to realize that companies that seek to follow the path to righteousness must be led by global supply chain managers who are well-versed in all aspects of social responsibility. And beyond eradicating the world of poor business practices, global supply chain managers hold the keys to solving problems like hunger and sickness through the effective, efficient purchasing, manufacturing, and distribution of food and medicine to those struck by famine, disease, and natural disaster. I know, the hardcore capitalists like me are beginning to wonder when it became the role of business to save all the world's flowers and bunnies. But how about if I told you that through the use of socially responsible and sustainable business practices, companies are producing better products with fewer materials and less energy to a larger base of customers, and, here's my favorite part, in the process, avoiding bothersome environmental regulators. Yeah, that makes me happy too. But let's take it one step further. Companies that develop the most advanced sustainable business practices can use their righteousness as a competitive weapon by lobbying governments to enact regulations. Regulations that will force industry competitors to produce similar results. Force them to invest heavily in technologies your company may have created, or else force them to pay heavy fines. Who would have thought doing good could have so many potential advantages? What's the catch? In today's world of complex supply chains, it takes a committed organization with a truly integrated supply chain. A company that can motivate supply chain partners to change. A company willing to redesign successful products and services that may require advanced materials, modern manufacturing techniques and technologies, new distribution models, and modern packaging strategies. So, whether you love money, nature, people, or just great products and services, we can all agree. Supply chain managers are the key to a better world.